Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
You heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free, too, with their 3-week Quick Start Kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
5.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Stocks drifted to a mixed close in a rare quiet day for financial markets worldwide. The S&P 500 slipped 0.2%, the Dow fell 0.4%, and the Nasdaq Composite slipped less than 0.1%. The modest moves were a respite for Wall Street following weeks of huge swings caused by President Trump's trade war. Perhaps more importantly, the U.S. bond market and U.S. dollar showed more signs of calm after their sudden and sharp moves last week raised worries that they were losing their status as safe haven investments because of the trade war. The Dow was down 155 points to finish at 40,368. The Nasdaq lost 8 points to 16,823. The S&P 500 dropped 9 points to 5396. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly this evening, the low temp tipping to 46. Tomorrow, absolutely wonderful. Sunshine all day, the high is 72. We'll keep that sunshine Thursday and Friday. It's a blend of sun and clouds for the weekend. Warmer for Saturday and Sunday. Highs around 87 each day. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network here on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon in South Carolina. Great to have you with us. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and the plumber Josh Cohen. And our phone number, 888-898-2525. And our text line number is 803-900-4847. So to pick up on where we left off last night, feel free to join in if you didn't get a chance to get involved last night and you want to jump on board with that conversation. More than happy to pick that back up tonight, or anything else that you want to turn to. Feel free to fire away. Got a great show for you. As always, Shane Beamer tonight. We'll get to comments from him as he wraps up spring football practice, his last press conference of the practices. Of course, they have the spring game on Friday. He's hoping for, of course, a big crowd, an enthusiastic crowd, and they're going to have a draft of the players, and they're going to split the squad, and you're going to see some of the frontline players. Everybody who is healthy will play. Now, how much some of the frontline players will play remains to be seen, but they don't plan to hold anybody out, at least as of today. If you're healthy and you're able to play, you're going to play. It's all part of Beamer's belief that his players love competition, whether it's against themselves or against somebody in a different colored uniform. Of course, they'll be in a different colored uniform. Some will be in garnet and some will be in black. So they're going to have that all taking place the next couple of days as they set up the two teams and get ready to play some football on Friday night at Williams-Brice Stadium. So you got that coming your way tonight. And plenty of recruiting to talk about. We'll get into all that. And Josh Harris at 7:35 with his visit from Darlington. We'll talk about what went down at Bristol over the weekend, and then they get a weekend off. They've hit the off week, the first off week of the season in NASCAR.
Cup Series. Trucks are running this weekend up at Rockingham.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking of the Cup Series.
Mm-hmm. Always a front runner, Phil. You got to remember the little guys too.
It's the big series.
You've fallen into the P4 side of the coin. Forget the G5.
No,
NASCAR.
This is true, but we don't really pay attention to the other series.
No.
And I mean, they're not running on Easter weekend this year, which I think is something that people were happy about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we'll talk with Josh about that.
I do wonder why the Truck Series is running, though, this weekend.
I couldn't tell you, except maybe the chance to go to Rockingham on an open week where nobody else is going to be running, and they'll have the full attention of everybody.
But you put an interesting spin on this, because the reason you don't want to run on Easter is, first off, it was a long-standing tradition that in Mother's Day, you just didn't run NASCAR on those days. They were sacred holidays. So, but now you're putting the JV and the middle school, if you will, the Truck Series and Xfinity Series, they're going to run this weekend at Rockingham. And if the crowd isn't very good, how's NASCAR going to view that? Is it a fact, well, nobody really cares about the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series? No one really wants Rockingham to be back on the calendar? Or is it because it's Easter weekend and folks are spending time with their families?
But the thought might also be the fact that they're going back to Rockingham with an event for the first time since when? That NASCAR has put on one of their events at Rockingham. How long has that been?
That's a great question.
They might think that people are going to turn out at Rockingham just to go back to the Rock.
2013, actually.
Yeah, so they might be thinking they just want to go back to the Rock.
I hope that's the case.
And reminisce and have a nice turnout there. I always liked, never been to a race at Rockingham, but many times I've gone to Raleigh, and I've gone up US 1.
Right.
And gone right behind the track. Yeah, it's right there. And it was pretty awesome looking. Last time I went by there, it's been years ago, it was all grown up and weeds everywhere. It was like it was caving in some areas. So hopefully not hopefully, you know they've got to clean it up to get it up to standard to meet the qualifications for having a race this weekend. Okay, South Carolina baseball tonight. The Gamecocks taking on the Citadel at 6:30. So we'll stay on top of that. Another baseball around the state. Is there anything else on your mind you want to begin with tonight?
Actually, from that, Nolan Naraki is back in the starting lineup for the Gamecocks tonight. He's going to be the designated hitter for them.
That's good. That's good because they had said that he might not be able to play the rest of the season. So get his bat back in the lineup. Well, the Gamecocks and, of course, the Citadel wants a win as badly as the Gamecocks want to win.
Doubt.
So see what happens over there tonight at Founders Park, Ray Tanner Field. First pitch at around 6:30. WNBA draft last night. South Carolina had 3 players selected, none in the first round. They had them go, 18, 20, and 21, if my memory is right. So 3 of the standouts on the USC women's team going to get their shot at the WNBA. Meantime, the NBA playoffs begin tonight. Do you consider the play-in tournament part of the playoffs?
They don't. No, because it's just like the NCAA tournament. The playing games are not part of the tournament. The playing games in the NBA playoffs are not part of the playoffs.
Well, I would prefer that my team never have to go through that part to make it to the playoffs.
They're ridiculous. There's no reason for the NBA to have playing games. You've had 82 games to prove yourself. It's ridiculous. But it's where we are. I mean, everybody's got to expand the playoffs because we believe it makes more money by having more teams involved.
It does from a television standpoint. Television's paying more money. They want more games. Mo games. That's what they want. Yeah. You want mo, give me mo games. So that commences. I actually, as crazy as it may seem, you really have to do some studying to figure out how it works. Like the loser of these games tonight, they're out. Well, no, let me rephrase that. See, here I am saying you got to do some studying. If the lower-seeded team wins tonight, it stays alive and moves forward. But I think if the higher-seeded team loses, I think they have a chance to play another game to advance. I'd have to pull the bracket out in front of me. It's cockamamie. It's a cockamamie scheme, but it's pretty interesting if you ask me. I just don't ever want the Celtics to have to go through that, you know. We like to win our championships the old-fashioned way by just getting into the main field as a 1 or 2 seed and going on from there.
You just explained, you just literally said why they shouldn't have the play-in rounds. Because you can't understand what happens with the teams that win and lose.
You can. I
should be really cut and dry.
I shouldn't have brought it up.
It should really be cut and dry. And I'm not criticizing you because I don't know either. But it should be really cut and dry. You win, you advance. You lose, you're done.
Yeah.
It should be that simple.
Yeah. Well, it's not that simple. It's not that simple when it comes to the NBA. Nothing is. And I want to find the format here, but I'm not able to put my eyes on it just yet. But there's some twists and turns to the format of the play-in tournament, because if you look again, depending on what your seed is in this play-in round, if you lose, you still have another chance, depending on what your seed is.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Let me see if now I've got myself all caught up and twisted in this thing. So it's seeds 7 through 10 in each conference, battling for the last 2 playoff spots, the 7 and 8 seeds. The teams that finish 7 and 8 in the standings face off first for the number 7 seed, and the teams that finish 9th and 10th go head-to-head the next night. Excuse me. So the loser, the team that finished 7th, the loser of the 7-8 game still is in the tournament. If I understand,
you're right. I'm staring right at it. It makes no sense.
Yeah, you got.
All right, so what we've got tonight is the Hawks and the Magic. That's the 8 seed versus the 7 seed. The winner of that game advances to the playoffs as the East number 7 seed. The loser drops down and will face the East 9-10 winner to advance to the playoffs as the Eastern Conference's 8 seed. Same thing over in the West, too.
Yeah, so the loser of that 9-10 game is out.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah, I knew there was something in there about a loser still having a chance. Anyway, it's the NBA. I do love the playoffs. It's better than that NIT thing they do during the season, where they crown a champion with the funny looking floors and all that. That's a money grab if anything else. Speaking of a money grab, just want to bring this up and talking about Nico. I am leaving you. Walking away. A story I read today was that if he doesn't find a $4 million deal out there that he's looking for, and apparently Tulane has said no mas. They're not interested. North Carolina's been talked about. I want to see that happen. But this story said he may be forced to take like $1 million deal. So I mean, like, how stupid would that be? You can't do that. I mean, how would you walk away from $2.5 million and go somewhere else and settle for $1 million? Even though don't get me wrong, that's good money, regardless of how you cut it. But that just looks stupid, and it makes your camp look stupid if it turns out to be the case that he's getting the cold shoulder out there and he can't make a bigger deal. And why would you do this unless you didn't have a deal already in place?
Thank you.
I mean,
you
seriously.
just cannot. You can't make that big a misstep and assume that your talent is just going to carry you somewhere else. And most teams are already set a quarterback with a guy they feel pretty confident in. There are only a select few of number of teams that have a situation where they've got to get a starting quarterback out of the portal at this time of year. And secondly, Phil, there are even fewer of that. You know, that pie is pretty small. We can slice it in half and even probably into a third of teams that can pay $2.5, $3, $4 million for a starting quarterback going into next season. Yeah, as I worried last night, he's gotten some horrible advice if that happens.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Nick Pringle, former Gamecock, former Wofford Terrier, has landed at Arkansas. So he's gone from Well Branch to Wofford to junior college to Alabama to South Carolina, now to Arkansas.
I want Nick to sue the NCAA to get enough eligibility so he can play at every league school in the SEC.
He'd probably
his career's done.
Probably win that case. And also the other thing there's a hiccup here with the settlement, the House settlement. There's a little hiccup going on here because the judge does not want there to be roster caps. She is having a problem with that. She does not want limitations on roster size. So I don't know what they're going to do now with all this. This is a little bit of a curve being thrown into this thing. The schools, in an effort to try to save some of their money by not having so many kids on a team to have to cover, they want some roster caps, some roster limitations, as we know. Now, they were going to increase roster sizes for basketball to 15, right? And baseball was going to go up to what, like 35, I think? Football was going to be capped at 120. But apparently this judge doesn't agree with that. And this could be a problem in getting this settlement settled. It looked like a slam dunk, right? Dunk. Mm-hmm. I didn't say slam duck. Plummer looked at me like I said slam duck.
You did.
I did not say slam duck. I know Storm Duck, who played at Boiling Springs in North Carolina, is in the NFL. They were Storm Duck.
One of the great
not slam duck
football names of all time.
Really. But this could be a problem that they have to work out now. So keep an eye on that. Okay. Phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. We'll get to your phone calls after the break. Go ahead and line them up. Let us hear from you. Give Jimmy Smith a call to get your vacation plans settled down at the beach. Paulie'sVacationRentals.com, or give Jimmy a call, 843-237-4246, for your perfect beach getaway. Again, the number, 843-237-4246. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Billy Downer from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Are you looking for a safe place to shoot your rifle or handgun? Did you know that the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources operates 4 manned ranges across the state in Pickens County, Spartanburg County, Richland County, and Charleston County? For more information on our public ranges, visit dnr.sc.gov/shooting.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
You're listening to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. We're back in a moment.
Hi, Phil Kornblut here with our good friend George Bryan III, heard every Friday night on Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps right here on Sports Talk. George, the Tsunami Bar, a very valuable tool for golfers. Why is that?
Well, the first thing that I say is the tempo. It's the only tool out there that allows the study of tension right from the first grab to be expressed, and rhythm and tempo is what makes the bar work, and it gives you something awfully special to keep those hands soft and get that rhythm going.
Learn more about Tsunami Bar technology by clicking on the digital ad on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and save 5% by purchasing online using the promo code BBB5. You don't have to be nervous today. I wasn't aware till Kevin Cohen told me. that in South Carolina, tax day's not till May 1 this year.
Correct.
So I'm not sweating it today, baby. Give me 2 more weeks. I don't need them. You're done, right?
I am done.
See, that's one of the reasons I just do not like you. Because you're early on everything. You're early to shows. You're early to events. You're early to pay. Is there anything you're ever late for?
It's a really good question, Phil.
Yeah.
Really good question.
Mr. Perfect.
Yes, because
you know what? You have a new name.
Hurricane.
Your new name is Mr. Perfect.
Hardly. But, because of Hurricane Helene, and I don't think we're the only state. My guess is North Carolina's probably in the same boat, and there may be others.
Well, I'm glad we got the extra time. I wasn't aware of it, and I was starting to sweat it a little bit, and actually heard a commercial here on The Point where Kevin said, blah, 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 and tax day is May 1st. And I said, what? You sure about that? He said, yeah. And he told me why, and I said, oh, that's great. I had not heard that, or it had slipped past me. So anyway, I'm not suggesting you wait till May 1st, but you can wait till May 1st to file both your federal and state taxes this year.
Chris, it's almost like Phil wishes we could start the show at 6:15 instead of 6:05. Similar to that, you know.
Why would you suggest that? Why? What's your point? I'm never late for this show. Have I ever been late for this show?
There's that time up in Clemson where you were an hour late.
All right, now you see, now that was computer. That was computer error. That was computer error. By the way, South Carolina and Clemson. Now. I almost did a what would you call it? There's no reason to say women's softball. It's just softball. So South Carolina and Clemson softball tonight up at Clemson. And as I understand, this is the decisive sporting event in the Palmetto Series.
I think it's 5-5-2, I believe is the current score. So
how about that?
This will decide it.
Pressure will be on. Coastal Carolina already up on Wake Forest 2-0. Chanticleers are playing some real good baseball.
They lead the Sun Belt now too after their weekend sweep at Georgia State. And as we talked with Coach Toman last night, they've done it with pitching. Their pitching has been outstanding, and they've got enough offense that they're a scary team. And if you see them when you see Selection Monday or whatever, I think it's Monday that the NCAA tournament comes out for baseball.
It's usually on Memorial Day.
Yep, that's right. If Coastal is in your regional, I would not be happy. Not be happy at all. I mean,
I'm not going to be surprised at all if at the way they're going that they don't host.
I agree.
I don't know if they'll be a national seed, but I think they'll be one of the 16.
Yeah, I think we'll have 2 host sites.
Yeah, yep. I think we should flip it up. I mean, you should come up to Clemson, and I should go down to the beach. It's kind of how I'd like to do that.
Well, they love me at Club DKS.
There you go.
I had a good time up there.
Well, you were there last year.
I was.
Yeah, I was in Raleigh. Yep. For the last stand of Mark Kingston. Okay, phone number 888-898-2525. Let's go to Andy in Columbia. Get some phone calls rolling on this Tuesday night. We've got Shane Beamer coming up in the next half hour. Andy, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, fellas. Hope you're all doing well. 2 things I want to hit on. One was from Bozo Texter last night. Yeah, I wanted Kingston to go, but I was advocating for Landon Powell to be our new baseball coach. Number 2, last night Keith Hernandez made the announcement he is moving to South Carolina, is moving his Florida home to South Carolina, still keeping his Stags Bay home. But I'd like you to ask Jimmy Smith if he bought a home up in the north. He didn't say where in South Carolina he was moving to. And
did he say why? Why he's moving? Why he's moving here?
He just wanted to get out of Florida. He said he's moving to South Carolina. Gary pretty much said, I can't believe you're moving to South Carolina.
His broadcast partner used to live in Spartanburg.
That's what I just said. Gary said, I can't believe you're moving to South Carolina.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that's because you were talking too much and then wasn't listening. But
I think one thing that can never happen on this show is me talking too much. Okay, let's be clear on that.
You know what I really miss is Corn-Free Fridays, so any more of those you can bring about would be wonderful.
Oh, we're working on that.
Don't ask for those, Andy, because they're coming, I'm sure.
If you can, that'd be just a great Friday for me. I always enjoy when Chris is running the show. But if you can ask him if he bought something up there in Pawleys Island area, or my thinking is it's more probably going to be Hilton Head, Kiowa Island type of thing. But I don't know. I've tried to look it up. I haven't seen anything but him saying that he is moving to South Carolina.
Are you going to hunt him down?
He's keeping his place
if he
in
moves to the
Hampton.
state, you're going to hunt him down and be one of those
I'm
types?
just
You're going to be
curious where
peeping
he is.
over his
I'm just
hedges? You're going to
curious
be
where-
looking over the hedges with a binocular and want to see him in his bathing suit or something out by his pool? What are you doing?
No, I'm not Bruce and Paige Beckers, okay? I'm just curious of where the gentleman's moving to, okay? I'm just curious of where the man is moving to in South Carolina. That's all it is.
All right. I'll let you know if I hear
it's not going to
anything.
be Columbia. My God, the man can't be moving to the screen door to hell in Columbia.
Would you like Would you
know,
like me to give you Gary Cohen's number so you can call him yourself and ask him? Huh?
No, I just wanted you to
You think
ask,
I got Gary Cohen's
Jimmy
number in
Smith.
my Rolodex? You think I got GC's number in the Rolodex here? Huh? What do you think?
Well,
You
send
think
it
it's in
on
there?
over. Y'all have my number, text it over.
Why would I have your number?
Or call him and ask him.
Oh.
Call him and ask him if he knows, if he could tell us where he's going to be
I'm
living.
sure that's guarded information. I'm sure that's guarded. Keith Hernandez is a big
Not very
name.
guarded
He's a Hall of Fame guy. He's a New York guy. He's TV guy. He's not going to put out that information. And
he's
Jimmy,
not very guarded about-
Jimmy might tell me, but I can't put that out there. That's
Oh,
He might be listening. Just say your phone number.
That's protected information. But I'm going to tell Jimmy that Keith Hernandez is looking for a house somewhere along the
he's
beach.
already
and-
bought, I believe. I think he's already bought.
Oh.
I think
That's
he's
what I
Debbie
think.
Do.
But
I think
I might
Keith
be
Hernandez
wrong on
is Debbie
that.
Do guy.
No, I think if he didn't say specifically, my guesses would be something Charleston, Kiowa. That'd be my guess.
That's what I'm thinking.
Isle of Palms,
Maybe Hilton Head.
Isle of Palms, Kiowa, Charleston. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Well,
it.
have a good night,
All right.
fellas, and
Thank
go
you.
Cox tonight.
I'm thinking about when Nancy Mace becomes president. I'm thinking about buying her house down there in Charleston. What do you think? Nancy Mace for president? Hello. We'll be back after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly this evening, the low temp tipping to 46. Tomorrow, absolutely wonderful. Sunshine all day, the high is 72. We'll keep that sunshine Thursday and Friday. It's a blend of sun and clouds for the weekend. Warmer for Saturday and Sunday. Highs around 87 each day. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Tradition and quality. That's what you get with H&J Cattle Company, where local third-generation farmers ensure you receive the finest beef in South Carolina. Our registered Hereford and Wagyu cattle are raised with sustainable practices without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. Taste the difference with the highest quality beef guaranteed. Order now at HandJCattle.com or on Instagram and Facebook at H&J Cattle. Again, HandJCattle.com, where ethics meets quality.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A federal judge says she will order sworn testimony by Trump administration officials to determine if they complied with her orders to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He was mistakenly deported to a notorious El Salvador prison last month. The U.S. Supreme Court ordered the Trump administration to return him, but the administration has so far refused. It claims he's in the MS-13 gang. The speed and scope of the federal government's efforts to terminate the legal status of international students have stunned colleges and universities across the country. Few corners of higher education have been untouched, as schools ranging from prestigious private universities, large public research institutions, and tiny liberal arts colleges discover status terminations. This is SRN News.
Nobody plans for a plumbing problem. They come unannounced and usually at a very inconvenient time. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is your trusted ally. They recognize just how vulnerable a customer is at this time, and they want to help. They have well-trained plumbers who are there to make a difference when you need it most. I've experienced this. They're knowledgeable about their craft. They're not coming to your house to pitch new products. If something is broken, they'll give you a price to fix it if it's possible, or a price to replace it if necessary. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is also locally owned and operated, or I simply wouldn't endorse them. Josh and his team prioritize customer service above everything else. They handle every issue with care and precision. Those are not just words. I've had Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning out to my home. They back up those words with their actions. If you have a crisis, get some peace of mind. Online, you find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com, or you call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. I'm absolutely positive they will make whatever is wrong right again. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hey y'all, it's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We're introducing the Wing and a Prayer Wednesday special. Purchase an order of wings and a drink and get a free gift card for the arcade. We have some of the most mouth-watering jumbo wings like flamethrower hot wings, barbecue wings, teriyaki wings, honey mustard wings, terry hot wings. You can get a half dozen for $9.95 or a dozen for $18.95. Served with celery and choice of dressing. So come join us at Flight Deck Restaurant to enjoy some great jumbo wings and lots of fun in our new and improved arcade. We at Flight Deck Restaurant, thank y'all, and God bless.
Imagine a home where every corner speaks volumes of care, precision, and impeccable style. At Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovations, we transform spaces with a splash of color and an expert touch. With fully licensed, bonded, and insured craftsmanship, we're not just doing a job, we're upholding a reputation. Whether it's painting, pressure washing, or wood repairs, we handle everything from your honey-do list to major projects. Call us today at 922-5615 and elevate your living space with Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovations.
Hi, I'm Dondi Mercer-Plank. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just starting, let me introduce you to Grow Your Garden with Sal, your go-to spot for everything you need this season. As a South Carolina certified farm, they offer locally grown vegetable seedlings, plants, and seeds to help your garden thrive. And don't worry if you don't have a green thumb, Sal and her team will teach you how to grow with confidence. Shop online at growyourgardenwithsal.com or stop by 113 Hilltop Drive in Columbia.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. On this Tuesday edition, Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and the plumber, Josh Cohen. 888-898-2525 is the phone number, and our text line number is 803-900-4847. Got a lot of text messages we'll get to here in just a moment. Citadel, South Carolina, underway, scoreless. Top of the first, 2 outs. Wake Forest has put 3 on the board. In the bottom of the first, leads Coastal Carolina 3-2. Also, we've got Wofford over Upstate 5-3. Western Carolina over Presbyterian 1-0. Winthrop on top of Davidson 2-1. Georgia and Georgia Tech going to play another game in their series coming up tonight. In just a few minutes, we're going to hear from South Carolina football coach Shane Beamer as he previews the spring football game. Let's take a moment here. You know, in Sports Talk, we like to give back by having some of our great sponsors on with us live from time to time to talk about some of the great things they're doing in their businesses and in the community. And for that, we welcome in the one, the only Lawyer Lisa to Sports Talk. Once again, I'm just going to call her LL because I have a hard time saying Lawyer Lisa. LL, how you doing?
Hey, you're doing a great job. It's easy. Lawyer Lisa.
Easy for you, but I have butchered it so many times. It is great to have you, especially here the week of the South Carolina spring football game because we know your hubby used to kick for the Gamecocks. So Is he a little antsy the week of the spring football game, even in his old age?
Everyone is excited for the spring game this week. I think it's been too long since we've seen and heard about football, and everyone's just super excited for this, and he loves it too.
When is the last time Josh went out and kicked a field goal?
Well, we have some kids that are of football age, and so they're always trying to coax him into kicking the ball, but he's smart enough to know that he's past those days.
Those hamstrings just can't take it anymore.
You're right.
They're not as flexible. Well, it's great having you with us, and we appreciate you being a part of what we do here on Sports Talk. You've got a great law firm, and your concern is about, helping people and making sure that they make those right decisions for years down the road. As you go into your 11th year with your law firm, tell us why that particular route for you with what you're doing.
Yeah, yesterday we actually celebrated our 11th anniversary, which, that's a big deal in business. And it's really just because we've been able to help everyone throughout the state of South Carolina. And I say everyone because, we can help almost everyone with estate planning, with setting up wills and trusts, and getting powers of attorney in place so that you don't turn it, if you have a situation, it doesn't turn into a crisis down the road. You could do some planning on the front end and have everything set up. We always use the sports analogies, like have your game plan. And so you have this plan in place for if something happens and then it doesn't turn into a crisis.
And what would happen, of course, is if you don't have a plan, somebody's going to make a plan for you, and it might not fit what you wanted when you were trying to come to, when you knew the end was coming. Somebody's going to make those decisions for you, and it might not be what you wanted.
It usually is not what you wanted, and it's either going to be somebody in your family that's maybe not who you wanted, or maybe they're not going to make the choices that you wanted, or it could end up being the state of South Carolina. And, they have all these default rules that trigger if you don't have your own documents. And so a lot of people get in a pinch later on, and there's nothing they could do about it. And we just want to inform everyone so that it doesn't happen to them and their family.
What are the different forms of paperwork? There's the will, for example. Everybody knows about the will, but there are other things as well. What other planning pieces should you have in preparation?
Oh, that's a great question because, I think that a financial, durable power of attorney is one of the most critical documents that anyone over the age of 18 really should have. So, even if you got a kid in college, they're going to spring game, engaging in other activities, it's still good for them to have because anybody of any age can have something happen to them or a temporary thing or get in an accident. And that's a really important document for everyone to have. And that document needs to look different as you get older. So if you got this stuff done when you were 20 or 30, when you turn 50 or 60, this document needs to be a little more sophisticated for the things you have in life. And then you need your health care directives in case you get sick. You want to make sure that, your sister who's definitely going to pull the plug, maybe you don't want her to pull the plug. Or maybe, maybe you don't want your spouse doing
Hello.
And so, you can make those decisions in these documents. And of course, everybody needs some directive on where they want their stuff to go when they die. But, that's secondary. Like, we want to make sure you're taken care of when you're alive, that your care needs are met, that your family can pay for it. There's a lot of planning that we can do to make sure that you have access to benefits if you need it to pay for care.
At what stage in life do you advise people to draw up their first will?
Well, as soon as you have something you're worried about, if you say, hey, if I go, there's nothing to worry about, then maybe you don't need a will. But again, I still think you need your powers of attorney for your finances and your health care. But as far as a will, and then again, as you do have some more stuff, a trust is a great recommendation for that. But, you can start that in your 30s and 40s. But, by the time you're 50 and 60, you really should have a plan in place. And a lot of people still don't. And it's not as morbid as you might think, because I know it sounds bad. We're not quite as bad as visiting the funeral home. But, we make it a easy to deal with situation. It's not morbid. It's just a conversation. And everyone feels so much better after they get this stuff done.
No question. I mean, you should have your plan in place. And sounds to me like you make it very comfortable and very easy for people to sit down and discuss these sort of tough issues. Let's face it, for a lot of people, it's a very tough thing to discuss.
It definitely is. And that's why it's important to have these conversations before you get sick, before something happens, because it's so much easier to talk about this stuff when you're young, when you're healthy, because as you get older, if you haven't ever done it, it's something that you start dreading or worrying about or trying to avoid. And if we make this a little less of a taboo subject, then people can get what they need in advance, and they don't fall into that crisis mode that some people unfortunately do.
That's great advice. The best way for people to reach you would be what?
Oh, the best way to get all of our information, you don't have to be able to say it, but you got to be able to spell it. You just go to lawyerlisa.com. You can get all the information on there. We also have a Contact Us page. And so if you go in there and you put your email address in there, we have this awesome newsletter that we put out that has all the new law changes. It's pretty hard to keep up with the news these days if you haven't been paying attention. But we are letting people know, here's how these new laws actually affect you and what's going on. So it's a great resource. So I tell everyone, go to the website. It's lawyerlisa.com. Give us your email address, and you can get this information direct. And they can also call us, too. It's 803-563-5163.
Always great having you on with us. Have yourself a great football game on Friday if you guys make it out there, and a happy holiday weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. That's Lawyer Lisa. You hear about her
talk to you like that
all the time on Sports Talk. As far as what?
Oh, she was taking pot shots at your inability to pronounce Lawyer Lisa.
Lawyer Lisa. I've been practicing lawyer.
She's
It
fine.
was just one night that my mouth was just locked up. My jaw just wouldn't position itself. Yeah, she is. She sounds like
she really is. Yeah,
she'd be a hoot.
And she's right. No one wants to deal with wills. No one wants to talk about end of life discussions. But as she pointed out, you don't do it. Somebody's going to do it for you. And it may be the state of South Carolina, as she mentioned, and you definitely don't want that.
Yeah. I'm leaving everything to Winnie. You're leaving everything to
absolutely
to Finn.
And I know how she feels, because I have a younger sister, and I don't want my sister having any power of life end of life decisions on my end, because it may be payback time.
She'll walk in and say, "Let me be the one. Let me be
happy to flip the switch."
Yeah. Lisa, thank you very much. Great hearing from you. We appreciate your time and appreciate your support. And good luck to you and the best to Josh Brown, former South Carolina kicker, of course. The other side of Lawyer Lisa there. South Carolina and Citadel still scoreless now, bottom of the first. 3-2 Wake Forest over Coastal as they play in the bottom of the second inning. And Wofford 5-3 over Upstate. Western Carolina now 5-0 over PC. Davidson and Winthrop are 2-2. After the break, we will hear from Shane Beamer. You want to get your fill on South Carolina. That's F-I-L-L, not P-H-I-L. You want to get your fill on South Carolina spring football information. Here it comes from the head coach of the Gamecocks, as the Gamecocks will play their Garnet and Black game 7:30 on Friday. Got a baseball game against Florida that's going to start at 4 o'clock.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, yeah. But they want you to go to the baseball game, then come to football.
Now through May 31st, 2025, buy the house now, reset your rate later with Mortgage Reset from Founders Federal Credit Union. Open a new mortgage or refinance an existing mortgage and get the lowest rate you qualify for now. Set up direct deposit, and then you can reset your rate once for free at any time rates drop. That's right. At any time during the life of the loan, you can reset your rate to the lowest rate you qualify for at that time at no additional cost. It's that easy. Visit foundersfcu.com/mortgage to learn more. Find your local mortgage loan officer or to start your application. You can always start your application and save your progress to complete later. Not a member with Founders yet? Don't wait. Visit us online or stop by an office to see if you qualify for membership. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required. Equal housing lender. Institution NMLS. Identifier number 410646.
The lottery is not about getting rich. It's about helping people, and it always has been. The lottery is what helped raise the Great Wall of China, build the roads of Rome, and today in South Carolina, it's what generates millions of dollars each year for scholarships like the SC Hope, Life, and Palmetto Fellows. The South Carolina Education Lottery is investing in you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou to learn more.
All right, Shane Beamer met with the media today in Columbia, give a preview, final look at his team this spring before the spring game coming up on Friday night.
Besides the injured guys, which you alluded to, anyone else that for sure that won't be playing on Friday night?
Besides the injured guys, no. We'll play everyone. No new injuries to report from last week. We've been healthy from that standpoint. So no one new from an injury standpoint. And then there's nobody that we're going to sit there and say, he's not playing. Now, are you going to see Lenoris Sellers in there late into the fourth quarter? No. Are you going to see DQ Smith late into the fourth quarter? No. We're going to try and get everybody in there and compete. But there's nobody that we're sitting there saying he's not going to play. Competition's a core value of the program, and we're going to let all those guys get in there and compete a little bit.
You've been doing these a long time at a lot of programs. Other than no injuries, what makes a successful spring game in your mind?
No injuries for sure. And to me, it's just seeing guys compete and just guys making plays. I think there's certain players, Alan, that any team that I've been a part of, they get in those environments and they're just, whatever you want to call it, gamers, whatnot, where they just kind of step up and make plays when the lights come on, so to speak. So eager to see kind of who steps up. Efficiency, let's be, I'm still scarred. Last year we kicked a field goal and we only had 10 men on the field for the field goal, and I lost my mic'd up on SEC Network, and that stuff just drives me crazy. So can we be clean and efficient with substitutions, special teams, offense, defense, very few penalties, things like that. Just look like an efficient operation, and then be able to stay healthy. And then with us, it's another opportunity to get better and compete. So walking off the field and just feeling like, we've taken another step as a team out on the field during the game.
I know DC asked about this last week, but I guess just to kind of talk about it again, with the quarterbacks behind Lenoris, how are you managing expectations going into Friday? And I guess, what are you looking to see?
Yeah, seeing who can kind of operate the offense and operate efficiently. There's a really good battle going on right now behind Lenoris with, primarily Air and Cutter and Dante. And those guys, all three of those guys, were so much better on Saturday in our scrimmage than they were the week before. Not that they were bad the week before, but they took another step, and they're just getting more and more comfortable. There's less insulation now because we've got so much of the offense in. It's just, repeating what we've been doing. We made the quarterbacks live on Saturday in our last scrimmage, meaning normally they're wearing a green jersey and they get tagged. We let them get tackled and hit on Saturday. We didn't do that with Lenoris, but Lenoris did when he was a true freshman. But we did with Air and Dante and Jimmy and Cutter for, half the scrimmage maybe. And that was good for them, just where those young quarterbacks know it's not 7-on-7. You can't just sit back there all day. Like, you got to get the ball out on time, but then also for our defense to be able to tackle those guys in space. And those guys did a nice job handling that. So they've gotten better. Want to see, kind of going back to Alan's question, just who steps up and can make plays and just take another step and get better. But that's a very, very even competition right now in a lot of ways. And let's see what happens this week in practice and then going into Saturday and kind of see where we are coming out of spring.
As far as progress goes, you mentioned the second scrimmage being good. What in your eyes did you see as the first scrimmage to the second scrimmage, we were better in this way? Like, can you share any specific examples?
Yeah. The offense, I thought, played with more energy, the second scrimmage, more competitive spirit. I think the first time you got a lot of new guys on offense, and they're kind of feeling their way through and don't quite know what to expect. And they were more, they started faster, I should say, offensively in the scrimmage. I thought that was successful. When the offense hit some plays, long plays, or got in scoring position on Saturday, the defense did a good job of responding to adversity, meaning a big play they gave up, and bowed up and was able to either hold field goals or get stops on fourth downs. The offense, as a head coach, it stinks, Jack, because every positive thing I say can also be construed as a negative. But offensively, they didn't turn the ball over any on Saturday, and that's really good. Now, from a defensive standpoint, it's not so good because we've always been good at taking the ball away. But to have a 70, I think we ended up playing 74 plays, to have a 74-play scrimmage, not turn the ball over, that was a positive. Some short yardage stops that our defense had on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, that was good to see as well. And then I like the way that we finished. We always try and finish up our scrimmages with just a goal line period where we just put the ball down on the 2-yard line and just go at it for 6 plays. And it was good to see the way that, both sides were good, if you will, in the fourth quarter at the very end, the spirit and competitiveness they played with. So there's a lot of things, but I think the biggest thing is just you saw players take a step. You saw young guys at wide receiver and defensive back get better and just be more efficient and play better football on Saturday than they did the Saturday before. You see older guys that, whether it be Gabe Brownlow-Dindy or Monkel Goodwine or Rondo Porter or Nick Barrett, that just made more plays on the defensive line Saturday than what they did the previous Saturday. So I walked out the field excited because of the competitive spirit and knowing that we took a step really at every position.
Do you have snap targets for every guy on the roster that you give your coaches of hey, this is the number I want this guy to play?
You talking about the spring game or in practices and scrimmages, or
both during spring practice? For the young guys, do you have a number of snaps you want to see to get a good evaluation?
I wouldn't necessarily. Yes and no. Before we have a scrimmage, we will, talk about each position. And for example, last Friday when we met as a staff, it was okay. Torian Gray, we don't need to see. We know we're going to have a 6 series, if you will, 6 10-play series is what we try and do. So we know, we don't have a depth chart, Jordan, but we have an A group, B group. So we know the A group is going to be out there for the A group for that segment is going to be out there for roughly 10 plays. And then what we call the B group is going to come in for roughly 10 plays. So we'll have conversations that, hey, Torian, with DQ and Jalen Kilgore and Judge Collier, let's get them, all the plays with the A group, and then maybe 4 to 5 here with this B group, and then let's get them out because I really want to see Kendall Daniels and Jaquel Holman and on and on and on. So we'll do that at all the positions. Coach Shula and he'll come to me and tell me exactly what he's thinking about the quarterbacks. And then you can't really predict how many plays it's going to be on Friday night with the spring game because you don't know how much, there may be the Garnet team may be out there for a 20-play drive and eat up a whole first quarter. Who knows? But we will say, okay, Sterling, we don't need to see this guy more than about 10 plays, but we really need to see this guy as much as we possibly can. So it's a little bit more structured with scrimmages, but there's a general idea certainly with spring games.
A lot of your production leaving on defense. How, in your assessment, has the defense looked, and what gives you great confidence, or what do you want to see from them rather on Friday? They give you good confidence heading into closing out this part of the spring.
Yeah, as you guys know, there's so many new faces on the defense, and that's the thing you go out there for the first day of spring ball and you're missing all these guys that have been literally at every practice with you. Boogie, Tonka, TJ, Debo, O'Donnell. Literally every practice since I got hired as the head coach, those guys were at practice, and the first time they weren't was the first day of spring ball. And you look around and you have so many new faces, but that's exciting as a coach. And I like the group. I really do. I think we're longer at a lot of positions from a length standpoint. We are certainly more athletic in some ways. We're just really, really young, but I've been pleased with the progress and the steps that the defense has taken this spring. The new transfers that have come in, I think, have really done a nice job of solidifying that they belong. The freshmen that have come in have continued to take steps. We're really excited about this, all the new guys, transfers and freshmen. They're all going to have a chance to help us as well. And, now it's continuing to just develop depth and get experience. You think about it, there's, as far as guys that have started games here at Carolina, there's not many returning on defense that have started. Now there's a lot of really good new players, but they're just inexperienced. But I've been pleased with the progress that they've made, and they've been disruptive, and now we just got to be more consistent throughout practice. We'll have a good period, then we'll have a not so good period. Same thing with the offense. That's kind of where, going back to some of the questions about the spring game on Friday night, that would be a successful one, is if I just saw consistency offensively and defensively and special teams, because we've been a little up and down, just, some practices and some scrimmages.
What was your reaction to what went down at Tennessee over the weekend, and how do you feel about your organization's preparation for avoiding those kind of situations?
I saw it like everybody. I mean, I'm not trying to avoid the question. I got my own program to think about, and that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, it's unfortunate, and don't know the whole story and who was told what and everything, but got a lot of respect. Don't know the quarterback. Got a lot of respect for, Coach Heupel and how he does things and the people in that program. I've spent 3 years there and know a lot of people still in that building that are in different roles, so got a lot of respect for their whole organization. And as far as us, we're doing what we do every day, and that's just be real, be honest, be transparent, be genuine, treat our players the right way, and be who we say we are. Is honestly it. When I saw that news and all of a sudden said, oh my God, we got to start doing this tomorrow so this doesn't happen to us. It's be who we say we are in recruiting and who our players know us as, and the culture in our program is really, really strong. I think that's been evident and been on display for a while now here at this place, and nothing's changed. Doesn't mean that you're not going to lose players to the portal in different instances. No, we've lost 2 in the last 3 weeks, and disappointed that those 2 young men decided to leave, but certainly wish them well, and we'll help them in any way and understand why they left. But for us, Phil, it's just continue to do what we do, and love these guys up, care about them, be honest with them, and make this a program they want to be a part of.
There you go, Shane Beamer. We'll be back after the top of the hour break.
WXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The White House says the ball is in China's court on resolving tariffs and trade issues. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
In recent weeks, China has responded to President Trump's higher tariffs by raising tariffs on U.S. goods. And as far as the White House is concerned,
the ball is in China's court. China needs to make a deal with us. We don't have to make a deal with them.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says it all comes down to money and that China wants what we have, the American consumer. Greg Clugston, Washington.
FEMA has denied a request for disaster relief from Washington State.
Washington Governor Bob Ferguson says the Federal Emergency Management Agency has denied a request for emergency relief funds to help repair an estimated $34 million in damage from a November bomb cyclone. The storm system battered the state with strong winds and rain that caused widespread damage and power outages, toppling trees that killed at least 2 people. The governor maintains the state met all the criteria to qualify and says the state will appeal. The denial comes as President Trump has questioned whether to completely disband FEMA. I'm Ben Thomas.
A federal judge declined Tuesday to hold the Trump administration in contempt for failing to return a man wrongly deported to El Salvador. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says she doesn't understand why so many people want Kilmar Abrego Garcia in the U.S.
Abrego Garcia was a foreign terrorist. He is an MS-13 gang member. He was engaged in human trafficking. He illegally came into our country. And so deporting him back to El Salvador was always going to be the end result.
On Wall Street, the Dow down by 155 points, the Nasdaq dropped 8, the S&P 500 lower by 9. More at townhall.com.
Heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the mountains or go pick up your dry cleaning? RV wins! Are we cleaning the gutters or taking the RV camping? RV wins! Are we getting a new passport or cruising up the coast? RV wins!
Don't forget, you got that trip to Sweden coming up.
Oh, yeah, passport, then RV.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates, other insurers, not available in all states and situations.
The National Republican Congressional Committee said Tuesday it raised $36.7 million in the first quarter of 2025, making it the strongest first quarter of an off-election year in its history. Details from correspondent Bernie Bennett on Capitol Hill.
The first haul included $21.5 million in March alone, which the committee said marked its best off-year month and highest March total in its history. The group entered the second quarter with $23.9 million in the bank. The committee's March haul shows a massive improvement from January and February, when the NRCC only raised $5.9 million and $9.2 million, respectively. Last week, the group's chair, North Carolina's Richard Hudson, announced the NRCC raised $35.2 million ahead of its fundraising dinner with President Trump. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly this evening, the low temp tipping to 46. Tomorrow, absolutely wonderful. Sunshine all day, the high is 72. We'll keep that sunshine Thursday and Friday. It's a blend of sun and clouds for the weekend. Warmer for Saturday and Sunday. Highs around 87 each day. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
We are back, hour number 2 of Sports Talk Media Network. Great to have you with us here on this Tuesday night. A reminder, on Thursday and Friday nights this week, we will be at Harbortown for the RBC Heritage. Looking forward to being at South Carolina's premier PGA golf event, one of 2 in the state this year, but this is the longest running, of course. It's one of the elevated events on the PGA Tour, so it attracts many of the top golfers in the world, including Scottie Scheffler, who spoke with the media there today. We'll bring you a little bit of what he had to say in our next half hour, but looking forward to being down in Harbortown. For me, it's like leaving the country. When I cross that bridge over to the island on the Hilton Head, I feel like I'm somewhere other than South Carolina, though we do claim the island as our own, of course. I just feel like I've left the country. I've left the state. South Carolina's taking a 1-0 lead. Braylon, with a ground out to third, gets the RBI. 1-0 over the Citadel in the bottom of the second. Wake Forest now 4-2 over Coastal Carolina. And Wofford 5-3 over Upstate. They're in the fifth. 8-0 Western over PC in the fourth. Winthrop 3-2 over Davidson after 2. A few other notes to talk about. Colin Murray Boyles announced today that he will be leaving for the NBA draft, and some are projecting him to be a top 10 pick. So if you think you're going to be a top 10 pick, it's a wise move. I have a hard time thinking he's going to be a top 10 pick, but he just might be. I just don't see that kind of a player after 2 years at South Carolina. I mean, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I don't know what I'm seeing. But I just saw a guy that, yes, at times he could be a dominating player. He could get you 20 and 10, but there were also a few games, many games, where he'd get you 5 and 2 and get into foul trouble. He'd kind of disappear. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into that. I know he's a talented player. He's not a good outside shooter, at least not now, but he does have really good moves around the basket. He's quick. He's got all kind of good moves around the rim. Maybe it will work out for him.
Well, and first off, you're right. If you are and ESPN's mock draft has him going as a lottery pick inside the top 10. I mean, I pulled up the rookie wage scale in the NBA, and the first-year salary for somebody inside the top 10 is $4.5 to $10.5 million. I don't care what Carolina's paying him NIL-wise. My guess is it's not quite that much money. So, I mean, it's obviously a smart decision on his part. Now, to your point about is Colin Murray Boyles ready, I went back and looked. He actually had 28 games, believe it or not, Phil, of the 32. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yep.
12 and 20, 32 that Carolina played. He scored in double figures.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, he didn't have he had the sort of wide berth between his career high 35 against Arkansas, and he'd have 10 or 12 points in other games. But, I mean, he's the only guy in the Power 4 leagues to average at least 16 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block shot per game while shooting above 50% from the floor. I don't know why Carolina went that far in looking up those stats for him, but nonetheless, he's the only player to have that resume. I think his build is probably what makes him an NBA player, because he is built like a pro, and he's a terrific passer. I mean, he was second on the team in total assists this year. I think that's probably one of the underrated parts of his game. Now, again, does that translate into NBA play? I have no idea. I don't know what the pros are looking for anymore, but he certainly was a really good college player, and Gamecocks are going to have a hard time replacing their leading scorer and leading rebounder.
You think he's a better talent than G.G. Jackson?
Ooh. That's a really good question, Phil, because I think polished-wise he probably is, because he had 2 years of college under his belt. But I think G.G. I don't know. I mean, I don't ever got to see what G.G. Jackson could do.
You know what's interesting as I'm thinking about this? 3 of the greatest individual players that South Carolina's ever had in basketball played on 3 of the worst teams that South Carolina's ever had. Think about it. B.J. Mackey, his senior year, they fell off the cliff. I think they won like 8 games. G.G. Jackson's 1 year was a disaster, and this year was a disaster. I just told you, I mean, you need more than just one guy, but
there's no doubt.
3 of the best individual players they've had come through there in the history of the program played on 3 of the worst teams.
Yep,
but
that's very true.
Not saying it's their fault or anything. They did what they could. G.G. Jackson what was he picked? He was like was he picked in the 20s by Memphis when they picked him? South Carolina's going to end up, if Murray Boyles goes in as a lottery pick or in the first round, that will give them 2 first-round picks out of the last, 3 drafts?
No, Jackson didn't go until the second round.
Oh, was he second round?
Yeah, I was surprised, too. I'd forgotten that.
Okay.
45th by the Grizzlies.
Okay. Why was I thinking he was like first round?
I thought had you asked me right off the bat, I would have said the same thing. I thought he went higher, too.
Yeah. All right, couple of other things to mention. South Carolina women, another good day at the SEC Championship. 6 under par score. They lead the tournament at 20 under. They are 14 shots ahead of LSU. USC's Isla Galitsky had a 68 today. She's the individual leader at 7 under, a shot ahead of teammate Hannah Darling. So they have one more round of stroke play, and then they go to match play. South Carolina's Shane Beamer will be one of the first 4 coaches at the SEC Media Days in Atlanta on July 14th. So that Monday, Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks will make the rounds. Of course, the thing will run through Thursday, but the Gamecocks will be in there on Monday. Ronald Acuna was cleared to ramp up activity and begin progressing toward a rehab assignment. No timetable. Seems like he's on schedule to return at some point in the next month, according to Justin Toscana, who covers the Braves for the AJC. There's a report the Pelicans ownership will mandate that their new GM, Joe Dumars, trade Zion Williamson.
Why not?
Really?
They're not getting anything out of him.
And, he's got some off-the-court stuff that's just disgusting going on.
Yeah.
Just disgusting. I mean, Zion, and he can't stay healthy. He just cannot stay healthy. He's not had a healthy season yet with the Pels. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't dump him as if they could. Clemson's 3 senior players are all going to be in the 71st Annual Portsmouth Invitational. So that's Chase Hunter, Ian Shefflin, Victor Locken. So they're all going to be playing in that. South Point High School is going to play Huff High of Cornelius, North Carolina at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte in August. That's on August the 22nd, I believe it is. They're calling it there's a name for it, the Keep Pounding High School Classic. August 22nd.
Some of the best football
at
played
4
in that
o'clock.
stadium all year.
Ooh. Come on now, the Panthers got hot. They got hot down the stretch. Great to see this news came down yesterday. Former Clemson star, 2-time Super Bowl winner Jim Stuckey, officially cancer-free.
Yeah, that was awesome.
After a long battle with head and neck cancer. He's going into the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame this week up in Greenville. Very happy. One of the nicest people in athletics I've ever met and talked to. Just a easygoing fellow. Had a great football career and a great business career at Kiowa. Netflix is going to release a new tell-all documentary on the rise and fall of Brett Favre. Looking forward to that. Saw this from PFF College. Former Gamecock linebacker Demetrius Knight Jr., arguably the best all-around linebacker in the draft.
Wow.
Yeah. He's the guy that really came on and took charge with the Gamecocks.
He made a lot of money for himself this year.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Speaking of, let's talk about Clemson. From the post-game of the Clemson spring game the other day, and the Tigers have done some things on the offensive side, especially at the running back position, where they found themselves running kind of thin there. And one of the key moves that they made last year, really out of necessity, was to take Adam Randall and move him from wide receiver to running back. Did that at the bowl game. And now it's a full-time gig for him. And he spoke with the media about that after the Clemson spring game recently. One of the things he talked about was being named one of the captains going into the spring game.
It was really special just because, that was kind of the first time that I came in with those guys. I saw those guys grow up and grow into leaders. So all those guys, Jake, Phil, RJ, and the other guys that were honored, I was able to watch them grow up into leaders and to captains throughout their career. So it was really special to me.
Adam, how does today mold into how much more comfortable you're getting at this position? Just what were you seeing out there? What was it like to suit up again today?
It was just great. I had the opportunity to go through spring and play running back. I know it's a little bit different position to me, but at the end of the day, it's still football. So I just being able to just, take it by the bull by the horns and just be able to go with it and, just make the most of my opportunities that I get.
A lot of players we talked to just said the idea of you at running back makes this offense feel a little bit more unstoppable. Just what does that kind of recognition from the other players this spring mean to you as this continues to progress?
It's just really, really good that I have good teammates, and I have teammates that are, really talented, so they go out there and make me better each and every day. You can't go out there with a mindset of that it's just a practice, it's a game every single day because you're going against one of the best defenses in the country. So I know if I can be able to, go out there and produce and make big plays on those guys, I know I'm going to be able to do it this fall.
Gideon Davidson's freshman first action in Death Valley today. Just what did you see from him and really from the rest of the running back group?
Gideon and all those guys have flashed all spring. So we've had a really good spring in the running back room, and I've just been incredibly grateful for those guys to bring me in and, take me under their wing, even though I'm like the big brother in that room. I kind of they kind of took me under their wing as a running back, and I take them under the wing as, just showing them the program and showing them how to work. So I just, am thankful for all of those guys, Gideon, Easy, Keith, Jarvis, Jay, those guys just kind of taking me in and, showing me the ropes and just being able to have the opportunity to go out there and show, Gideon and some of those younger guys how it's supposed to be done. It's great.
Teacher Parker earlier said this with Tristan Smith, the plays he was making, that it's nothing new. Just what have you seen from Tristan as he's grown in this offense and then seen him flash today?
I mean, Tristan has just gotten a lot more comfortable over this spring. The first couple of days it was kind of coming fast to him, but once he started to know the plays and know where he needed to be at, he just is a natural. And he's able to go out there and play fast and physical, and he's huge. So he's able to have the opportunity to go out there and make those 50-50 balls, and he can bring a different downfield threat to our offense that we really need.
All right, there you go. Catching up on a little Clemson stuff from the Tigers spring game the other day. Adam Randall talking about moving over to playing running back. Looks like that deal's going to work out okay. They need him. They need some experience over there. They need an older guy. Keith Adams, Jarvis Green. Green's been hurt up a little bit. I know they're very excited about Gideon Davidson, the freshman. Jay Haynes, of course, got to come back off that bad knee injury. So Tigers maybe as a running back room as thin as they've been in what would be considered high-powered talent, because they're used to having some great running backs to turn to. And I would not say that we'll see how good Davidson is, but I wouldn't put anybody in that running back room in the elite category right now, based on compared to some of the elite running backs that they're used to having there.
Sure, but I think the one thing they're going to avoid this year is there's more talented depth. I think, last year after they got past Phil Maffa, you were wondering, what in the heck were they going to do? And it's part of the reason Adam Randall is a running back now. They had to figure out a way to navigate through the college football playoff. And so he was pretty honest earlier in spring when he was asked about making the transition, and they said, well, how much did you know? And he said, well, they kept it kind of simple for me. I've been in the room, so I understand the offense, but playing a different position was unique. He said it was the first time, I think, since middle school, maybe early in his high school career, that he'd actually lined up as a running back. He's talented enough. There's no question. I mean, he's got the athletic skills. It's just an entirely different position. But you're right. I don't think it's the situation where C.J. Spiller and James Davis are walking into that locker room for them.
Yeah, and I would think the most difficult thing to do after being a receiver and shifting to running back is learning how to get down and how to get low, because receivers are so used. Well, not just that, but carrying the football, low man wins, and running backs run kind of hunched over in a lot of cases, especially when they're running through the hole or through traffic, protecting the football, kind of bent over. Making that kind of adjustment from a receiver, I would think, would be a little difficult. Maybe not.
I would think so too. And it's repetition. He says he did joke earlier about it's just carrying the football. I do that all the time, and he's right. I mean, when he catches the football, he's got to protect it. He's got to put it away. So it's just a little bit different angle in which he'll be catching it, sort of at waist high instead of going up above his head and outside his body, as he had to do with the wide receiver. I think he'll be fine. I don't think Clemson's expecting him to shoulder the entire load by himself. And with the wide receivers they have, how much running does Clemson have to do anyway?
Yeah. All right, South Carolina scores 3 in the bottom of the second, 3-0 on the Citadel. Scobie with a homer, Petrie with an RBI single, and Hollins gets the RBI the hard way. He takes one off the body, but it's 3-0. South Carolina, top of the third. Be back in a moment.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosteller-Brown. Did you know your will is designed for your assets to pass through the probate court? If you want to keep your loved ones out of court, a revocable trust is a great place to start. Visit LawyerLisa.com for more information and to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Now back to Phil, Chris, and Josh with Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
The best theme song in recruiting is our theme song right there. What's the name of that song, Plummer? Is there a name for it? Do we know the creative geniuses behind that little ditty? Do we not?
Pat Daniel.
Pat Daniel Band.
That predates the Plummer.
It's the Pat Daniel Band. PDB.
That actually may predate me on this show, as a matter of fact.
Have we had that for a while?
Yes.
Yeah. Does not predate me.
This is true.
No, sir. All right, recruiting brought to you by Seawells. All right, what do we have Wednesday?
Well, you may predate Seawells.
No, Seawells predates me by about, pretty good bit.
Okay.
Because they've been around a long time, about 80 years.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that's how old you were, so.
Ouch.
Ooh.
Anyways.
Josh won't be getting paid this week.
No, sir. You just saw that check go up in smoke.
Yeah. All right, tomorrow, meatloaf and sausages with peppers and onions, as well as barbecue chicken and southern fried chicken.
All right. And don't forget, every day, Tuesday through Friday, you can enjoy the best daily luncheon buffet. And for your special events, something like a wedding reception, you ever want to have one of those, Plumber?
Maybe.
Uh-oh. Got a girlfriend now? Yes. What's her name, Sally? Judy?
Man, look how much he's blushing. I can see how bright his his face rather has gotten on the screen.
What are you embarrassed about?
Okay there's nothing. No, nothing.
It's okay to have a little girlfriend.
Just working over
here. She boss you around? Does she tell you what to do? Got the old ball and chain already, huh? Anyway, if you happen to have a wedding reception in mind, or a birthday party, a corporate outing, awards banquet, let Seawells handle all that catering for you. Make it very, very special. 803-771-7385. Check them out online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. Tonight we begin with linebacker Jordan Avenger. I want to call him Avenger, but it's Avenger. 6'3", 235 out of Orangeburg, Wilkinson. Not yet a household name in recruiting circles in South Carolina, but that might soon change. He was at South Carolina last Saturday for the scrimmage. He got his first opportunity to meet up with defensive coordinator and linebackers coach Clayton White. Had a great visit with them. White likes him a good bit, likes that he can play multiple positions and that he's athletic and runs well. He's coming back for the spring game on Friday to continue working on the relationship. We'll see if he ends up with setting up an official visit with the Gamecocks. He also plays running back for the Bruins. He had 671 yards last season. And Arkansas has offered him as a running back. So he's also been to Wake Forest and Virginia this spring, and he's going to South Florida on April 29th. He has official visits set with Arkansas May 30th, East Carolina June 13th, and USF June 20th. Right now he calls USF his favorite because they have just recruited him very hard. They're showing him the most love. So right now USF is a team to beat. Xavier Perkins, 6'3", 240, defensive end in the 2027 class out of Durham. He was in for Clemson's spring practice back on March 29th. And he's very interested in the Tiger program, waiting to see if they're going to offer him when they get around to offering the 27s. Florida State, North Carolina, Ole Miss, Virginia Tech have also been involved with him. He and Nick Eason have hit it off, and they have started to develop their relationship. He really appreciated being at Clemson, and he felt the family-oriented atmosphere kind of stood out to him the most on the visit. So if Clemson were to offer, that would tell him that they feel like he has the characteristics to fit into their program, sort of like an endorsement of him as a player and as an individual. So he'd be very excited if he could get that offer from Clemson. We'll have to wait and see if that happens. He has not finalized summer plans, but a return to Clemson could be in the works. This spring, he's also been to North Carolina, Duke, Elon, and Liberty. Some other offers include Ole Miss, Florida State, North Carolina, East Carolina, Duke, and Virginia Tech. 41 solo tackles last season, 14 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, and 31 quarterback hurries. Running back Amari Thomas, 6 feet, 195, Marietta, Florida, who was committed to Florida State, was at South Carolina today. The Gamecocks offered him last fall. He also has offers from Florida, Miami, Kentucky, Indiana, Kansas State, NC State, and Auburn. He has set officials with USC May 30th, Kansas State June 6th, Kentucky June 13th, and Florida State June 20th. Timberland offensive tackle Desmond Green plans to be at the USC spring game. He was at Virginia Tech over the weekend. 2027 linebacker Jalathan Mayfield of Lincolnton, North Carolina. He plans to be at the spring game. 27 cornerback Kennedy Green of Douglasville, Georgia. He plans to be at the spring game. Former South Carolina defensive tackle DeAndre Martin is transferring away from Charlotte. Former Clemson receiver Dakari Collins is transferring away from NC State. Former USC and Wofford forward Nick Pringle has signed with Arkansas. He also played at Alabama and in junior college. Former South Carolina State forward Drayton Jones is transferring to Butler. He was all-MEAC first team this season after averaging 13 and 5. Former Clemson forward Asa Thomas is transferring to Furman. And 6'3" Arizona State transfer Adam Miller has reportedly drawn some interest from Clemson. There you go with recruiting, brought to you by Seawells. We'll hit the break. Josh Harris to talk some NASCAR coming up right here on Sports Talk.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly this evening, the low temp tipping to 46. Tomorrow, absolutely wonderful. Sunshine all day, the high is 72. We'll keep that sunshine Thursday and Friday. It's a blend of sun and clouds for the weekend. Warmer for Saturday and Sunday. Highs around 87 each day. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Are you ready to have a boatload of fun this spring? Sail on down to your local Palmetto State Armory store and deck yourself out in our new lifestyle t-shirts, hats, and fishing shirts. Seize the day with brands like Hey Dudes, Costa, Turtle Box, Local Boy, and more. Our selection of rifles, pistols, and shotguns is sure to impress. So don't be left fishing for something to wear once the warmer weather has arrived. Check out one of our 9 retail locations or PalmettoStateArmory.com to outfit your next adventure.
The Point.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A shooting at a Dallas high school injured 4 students who were taken to hospitals. Police and Dallas area school district officials held a news conference Tuesday afternoon but did not say what led up to the shooting or disclose the severity of the injuries. They said a suspect has been identified but not arrested. Officials gave few details about what had unfolded earlier in the day to draw a large-scale police presence to Wilmer Hutchins High School in South Dallas. NATO's Secretary General says the alliance's support for Ukraine remains unwavering. Mark Rutte emphasizes that more than $22 billion has already been pledged for Ukraine by NATO allies in the first 3 months of 2025. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 155 points, the Nasdaq dropped 8. More details at srnnews.com.
People hear me talking about Broker Solar and how much I like Ken and his team. They ask, hey, can I really trust this guy, Kev? Let me tell you two things. Number one, Ken and Broker Solar are legit. I've known Ken's family for 20 plus years. Seriously, these are local, ethical people. They're not going anywhere and they do things the right way. Number two, Broker Solar is so different than these stereotypes we've heard about in the solar industry. There's no signs on the yard making stupid promises they can't keep. There's no door knockers trying to pressure you at your own door. Ken and Broker Solar will tell you the truth, what it'll cost, and how your solar power investment will pay off. See, we can't pick our power companies. Broker Solar gives you a chance to take some control over your power bill, and I like that, and so should you. Online, it's brokersolar.com, and seriously, reach out to Ken and these folks. It could really make a difference in your quality of life. Brokersolar.com, empowering you so you're not powerless.
Hey, honey, did you hear that Walgreens is closing right around the corner?
Yes, Sue used to get her meds there. I told her she has to try Triangle Pharmacy now.
They've always been good to us. Plus, we never have to wait around in long lines, and they deliver.
It was so easy when we transferred last year. All we did was call, and Robbie and Isha took care of everything.
With all these chain stores closing, I'm so glad that we have a reliable local pharmacy. Triangle Pharmacy, still local since 1953. Come see us at 1239 D Avenue or visit trianglepharmacysc.com for more info.
Want to hear my success story? I'm Fran Halloran, the money coach. I'm celebrating a decade of partnering with The Point. It's one of the best decisions I ever made. I've used The Point to significantly grow my small business. It started with a meeting with Kevin Cohen. Do you own a small business? Are you on a limited budget? No problem. Reach out to Kev at 563-8558. Get a customized plan and start your journey to business growth with The Point today. Success is one call away. Take the leap.
Tax season is the perfect time to think about long-term goals like your children's college savings plans. We've been doing it for years. We've had the Future Scholar 529 program for both my Hayden and Jacob, and it has been a blessing. It's not too late to get a state tax deduction even for 2024. Contributions made to your Future Scholar account before the tax filing deadline, which is May 1st this year, can be claimed as a state tax deduction for 24 or 2025. This is a great time to get involved. Every single penny that you put in is tax deductible on your tax return, and in addition, you pay no federal or state tax when you withdraw the funds to use for expenses. I'm talking about how to pay for tuition or how to pay for the books or the fees or the computers or the room and board because you've got the Future Scholar program. If you want to get started, now's a great time. Any amount will get you started and anybody can contribute to your Future Scholar. Go to futurescholar.com for more information. Futurescholar.com. Remember, no state funds are used to market Future Scholar, and the Future Scholar 529 program is administered by the Office of the Treasurer, Curtis Loftus.
The girls of Darlington County, they're just pretty, but they want to know your name. Josh Harris. Have you discovered that the girls of Darlington County are pretty, but they just want to know your name?
Well, I've certainly had some come up
asking who I am, so maybe that counts.
Counts for something. Great to have you with us.
Yes, so.
Great to have you with us. Okay, so we had kind of another blowout situation. I don't mean tires. I mean, competitively speaking, had another little dominating single driver day at Bristol. And I've seen some reporting, some opining that, this car, this generation, whatever it is, 7 car, on these tracks like Darlington, they lump Darlington in there, Darlington and Bristol. One guy tends to get ahead and lead a whole bunch of laps. What'd you think about what went down at Bristol?
Well, I think it was a situation where, if you think back to last spring, we went there and it was a little colder and the tire wear was something no one expected. And you even saw it on Saturday's practice when they first went out. But by the time Sunday came around, temperatures warmed up and you didn't have quite that impact. So I know Goodyear and NASCAR have worked really hard on the short tracks with the tires, but there was a little bit of apprehension to go too soft on Bristol because of what happened last year. And ultimately you get a guy like Kyle Larson that just kind of hits the setup and makes for one of those days that, we've seen it in the past. You think about, guys like Rusty Wallace have dominated that track in the past, or Darrell Waltrip and on and on. So it's not a new thing to have a guy dominate at Bristol. We just haven't seen it a lot. And we have seen a couple of races here in a row where a guy gets out and leads a lot. I think everyone wants to see more passing at the front of the field, and we're kind of in a stretch here where we haven't gotten that. But overall, it's been some pretty good racing, and you got to tip your cap to those teams that have kind of hit those setups.
Well, I think sometimes we expect too much out of NASCAR, out of the races. We expect every race to go right down to the wire and be a photo finish. I mean, you don't get that in any sport. There's blowouts in every sport. So, I mean, NASCAR shouldn't be criticized, or the racing shouldn't be criticized because you have a few races where one guy just is better than everybody else and shows it.
Yeah, I mean, 36 races on the schedule. You're probably going to end up with a few like that throughout the year. And, it kind of ebbs and flows throughout the season. But after a week off this week for Easter, I think we'll be heading to a place where you're definitely going to see some lead changes when we head to Talladega.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You think everybody's ready for a week off?
I think they are. It's 8-9 weeks into the season now. It gives everybody a little bit of a break. Last year we didn't really get a break throughout the season for the Cup Series, so it'll be nice, I'm sure, for those guys to have a weekend off, regroup, and the ones that are not doing as well as maybe they had hoped, it gives them a chance to kind of take a breath and see, maybe do a little extra work around the shop this week. And I'm sure a lot of the drivers will take some time to spend with their family because after this, it's about 25 weeks in a row until we get to Phoenix at the end of the year.
Yeah. Of course, as Bergie pointed out very early in the show, there is truck racing this weekend at Rockingham. And I'm wondering if you've had a chance to take a look at what they've done at Rockingham, and if so, what's your impressions of getting the track back in shape for racing?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to go up there, but everything that I've seen, we've been able to work with them, and during their test session about a month ago when they had Xfinity and Truck there for a day, a little over a day test session, we actually helped them out and with some of our track equipment, and we'll have some up there this weekend. The team that's running, operating the race this weekend, we know a lot of those guys really well, so happy to send some resources their way to make sure it's a successful event. But I can't wait to watch it. I'm gonna be home this weekend and looking forward to seeing the action back at the Rock. I think it's great, all the hard work they've put into making that facility come back to life. In some ways like you had at North Wilkesboro, not quite the extent of how long it had been since we had been to Rockingham as North Wilkesboro, but good to see it back. And I heard today they've sold out of Saturday's tickets for the Xfinity race and the ARCA race, so that's a great sign, and should be a good weekend.
Josh Harris with us from Darlington Raceway. Looking forward to Easter weekend without the Cup Series. And Josh, with that being the case this weekend, is it good for the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series to have sort of a standalone weekend where they're not having to compete with the Cup Series, albeit against one of the holidays that for the longest time NASCAR never, ever thought about running on?
Yeah, I think it's good for them to get a little bit of the spotlight to themselves for the weekend. And by doing it on a Friday night with the truck race and then Saturday with the Xfinity, the doubleheader with ARCA, it kind of gives all three of those series a little bit of a spotlight. And then everybody still gets to be home on Easter Sunday. Rockingham's a pretty short drive from the Charlotte area where a majority of the teams are located. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a good way to give them a weekend. If we're going to run on Easter, I think this is a good way to do it. And I know the Cup guys appreciate having the weekend off.
What is your takeaway, excitement level, and the like of Casey Kane actually getting back on the racetrack? He's going to be running this weekend in the, if I'm not mistaken, a truck car. Is he running Xfinity? I can't remember which he's doing.
No, he's running. He's running Xfinity for Richard Childress Racing. So that'll be really neat to see Casey back behind the wheel. He was a guest on, I think, Dale Jr.'s podcast not too long ago, talking about it. And another guy that had the end of his Cup career, kind of end a little more abruptly because of some health issues. And I know Casey's been spending a lot of time doing sprint car racing and owns a sprint car team. So I think it'd be really cool for fans that grew up. Casey was one of our most popular drivers as when he was in his prime, and it'll be really neat to see him back behind the wheel of a stock car. And I think you got to temper expectations a little bit. I think when we've seen somebody even like Dale Jr. jump in and run an Xfinity race or two every year, he's competitive, but don't know if we can count on him to contend for a win with the guys that are running week in and week out in this car. But he is running an RCR car, and they've got some of the fastest Xfinity cars out there, so you never know.
Is this an audition for him to get back full-time, maybe running Xfinity moving forward? Is this just going to be a one-off for him, maybe once every year or so he steps in the car like you mentioned Dale Jr. does?
Yeah, I would venture to guess it's probably more of, one-off opportunities here and there. I don't think that Casey, at this stage of his career, wants to jump back in full-time on the NASCAR schedule. With the sprint car stuff, he kind of gets to pick and choose. The schedule's not quite as demanding, and I think that probably fits where he is in life, and also with the health issues he's battled over the years. I don't think he wants to put himself back in that position, from what I heard.
A couple more minutes with Josh Harris. So 9 races in to the season, and we've had 5 different winners to this point. So would you expect that this is going to be one of those years where wins are hard to come by, being spread out like among double-digit winners? Or do you think eventually we're going to see other guys rise up, get some wins, and spread these victories around a little bit more?
If I had to take a kind of shot in the dark after 9 races, I think we may end up with 11 or 12 different winners heading into the playoffs, which would leave 4 or 5 spots open for positions on points. I just haven't seen enough different teams and drivers consistently challenging for the win. The last 4 weeks it's been an alternate between Hamlin and Larson, and prior to that we saw Christopher Bell win 3 in a row. So you take those 3 guys out of the equation. I think we can get to probably 11, 12, maybe 13 winners, but I don't think this is a season where we're going to see 15 or 16.
Well, when we get back to racing, it will be Talladega to wrap up the month of April, then over to Texas, then Kansas. So we got some fast speedways ahead before they go to the All-Star weekend. So looking forward to seeing what these guys can do, and especially at Talladega, which is always the big wild card. You never know who's going to come out of there.
Yeah, it'll be a good weekend. I think that's a great track to kind of come out of this week break for the Cup Series. Heading to Talladega, always a popular stop for fans, whether they're attending the race over there in Alabama or tuning in on TV. One of the races that'll typically get good ratings. It'll be on Big Fox, in 2 weekends. So looking forward to that, and wishing everybody a great Easter weekend ahead.
Absolutely. Let's remind everybody, too, that you got the first round of the playoffs coming back to Darlington for the Cookout Southern 500 on August 31st, and folks need to go ahead and get those tickets and get in position to be there for that.
Yeah, it's going to be here before we know it. The countdown's still above 100 days, so we still got a little ways to go, but no better time to get your tickets than right now. It'll be a doubleheader playoff opener weekend for both the Truck and the Cup Series. We're excited about it. So tickets are available, like you said, darlingtonraceway.com. Aiming for another sellout for the Cookout Southern 500, and we're well on our way.
I'm sure you'll get it, and we thank you. Have a great holiday weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it, Josh.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks so much. Thank you. Okay, Josh Harris, El Presidente of Darlington, with us here on Sports Talk.
Novel concept. Put the races on Big Fox. There's an idea.
I agree.
Instead of FS1.
Yeah. Well, but
NBC Sports Network or whatever the JV channels for those are.
But everybody gets those channels. It's not like you can't get them. Everybody gets those channels.
Grow the sports. You're trying to grow the sport, put it where most eyes can get on it.
Well,
I don't need to be flipping through the channels trying to figure out where the race is.
Now, trying to figure it out is one thing. That's true. But most everybody gets every channel,
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. Trying to figure out where it is, that's the battle. All right, South Carolina up 4-0 now on the Citadel. Bottom of the third. Wake Forest over Coastal 8-5. Top of the fifth. Be back.
Some credit cards hit you with sky-high rates, annual fees, and surprise costs, but not here. Founders Federal Credit Union is proud to offer credit cards with rates below the national average, giving you more control over your finances. Our Essential MasterCard rates are as low as 13.25% APR. Our rewards cards start at just 15.25% APR. So you can earn while you spend. And the best part, there are no annual fees and no balance transfer fees, just straightforward savings, designed to keep more of your hard-earned money where it belongs, in your hands. So whether you're looking to consolidate debt, build credit, or just want a smarter way to spend, we've got the right card for you. Visit foundersfcu.com/cc to learn more or apply for a new credit card today. Relax, you're with Founders Federal Credit Union. Membership qualification required, terms and conditions apply.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
All right, couple of our text messages have come into us here on Sports Talk. Our text line number is 803-900-4847, 803-900-4847. You can also leave us a voicemail message, and if it's quality, we'll air that. But let's see what we have here. There we go. Clicking on the wrong thing. Mike from Barnwell, going back to these deals with players, maybe each school should come up with a buyout clause so that if a player leaves the team, he'd owe the school a set amount of money. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have some kind of protections in there eventually.
Yeah.
Of some kind. Here's another email to us. Tanner made great hires with the men's sports. Basketball sucks, baseball sucks, and football, the blind squirrel found a nut in football. Won't fluke season this year in football back to mediocrity for the Gamecocks? I don't think so. I think the South Carolina football team this year's got a chance to be pretty good.
I do too.
I don't
see why any reason they shouldn't be.
I mean, I think really this is the most overlooked area, but I think punting and place kicking. Now, I think Mason Love could be the guy handling both spots, but punting, place kicking, holding, and snapping, that's a big concern. That should not be poo-pooed as far as being important, as we well know. Got to replace people in the middle on defense, but it sounds like some of the transfer guys are stepping in and giving them some good play there in the middle. The transfer from Texas A&M in particular, hearing and reading good things about him, stepping in and getting it done, so that would help. Still should be pretty good at defensive end with Thomas and Stewart. I think their secondary will be excellent. I don't think there's going to be – Eman Worry was special. He'll be hard to replace, but I think they're still going to be very good in the secondary. Linebacker, I think, remains to be seen at this point because you got to replace practically everybody there. So offensively, I think they're going to be really good. No Rocket Sanders in the backfield, but I think Oscar Attaway is a really good back. Rashad Faison, we'll see what he's all about. Howell is going to get his chance to carry the ball more. Yeah, I mean, Beamer has been saying it's going to happen. It just hasn't happened yet. I mean, he's been practicing all spring. So
can he play for? I mean, I know it's a spring game. It's not technically a game. I'm assuming they can still utilize him.
He said everybody's playing. Yeah, he's not hurt. So, all right, today at Harbortown, activity picked up as we get ready for another edition of the RBC Heritage, and the defending champion Scotty Scheffler was on hand today. Of course, he's coming off that Masters, playing in that frying pan. That's the Masters, and now you come over to Harbortown, and basically you kind of let your hair down. You kind of exhale after holding your breath for 4 days in Augusta. And he talked with the media. Looks like this was taking place right there in the harbor. Had a little media area set up in the harbor. So you'll hear some background noise there from the boats or whatever. Yeah. But here he is, of course, talking about being back at Harbortown and taking on that very tight, challenging layout.
Well, it's definitely a positional golf course for sure. This golf course is much more about control and putting your ball in the right spots and staying out of the trouble. The fairways here are a lot smaller than they are at Augusta, and it's a much flatter golf course overall, so a bit of a different test, but definitely still a good test.
Scotty, last year your headspace maybe was a little different. You're right there, almost ready to have your first kid. Over the last year, how has your perspective of the game of golf and just maybe life in general changed since such a big milestone?
Yeah, well, having Ben around is pretty awesome. He's a lot of fun. It's fun for us to have him here this week. I think this is the third year I've played this tournament, and we have some good memories here, and it's very exciting. Took him on a walk on the beach last night. We're getting to really enjoy being in the community here, and it's been a lot of fun.
Scotty, you've heard, I'm sure, about the firing of the cannon into the Calabogie Sound now that you've experienced it. Can you just kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, well, fortunately I had some earplugs. It's always nice when a cannon's going off. But, yeah, it was definitely the first time I've also hit a tee shot while the cannon is going off, so that was a unique experience, but I was definitely glad to just be able to make contact with the ball and not embarrass myself out there.
What was it like feeling that little glove?
It was a different feeling. No glove. I had a pretty big jacket on, so it was definitely unique, but a lot of fun.
Did it light heavy?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you because I'm wearing a jacket. Everything felt weird.
You've had the opportunity to be involved in quite a few ceremonies the last several years. How does this compare to it, and was this the loudest one that you've participated in?
Well, this is really the first opening ceremony I've been a part of. This is something that's very unique to this tournament, and I think it's a really cool tradition, and was very fun for me to be a part of. Well, it sounds like some of us may have another opportunity to win a gold medal for our country, which is always cool. And I mean, as far as the Olympics goes, anytime you get to go and represent your country, it's a really special feeling. I haven't heard much about the format or anything like that, but a mixed team event should be fun. I don't know exactly what it will be, but I think any opportunity you can have to win a gold medal for your country will be pretty special.
Scotty, the first week you're using distance measuring devices. Are you going to use that this week, and do you think it's going to help with pace?
You're not gonna like this answer, but I kind of forgot about that. And I'll just ask Ted what he wants to do. I don't really care. He's the one who gets the number, and I'm sure we'll have it in the bag. I think in the tournaments we've been able to use it at the PGA the last couple of years, haven't we? I mean, is it going to help pace of play? I mean, maybe a few minutes. Will it be anything significant? No. I think this tournament, what significantly affects the pace of play is the walkability of the golf course, and I think we're playing twosomes all week, which, I mean, it'll go from being probably a 5-hour round to maybe 4 hours or less. So I think when you see the biggest changes in pace of play, it all comes from, I think, going from 3 guys to 2 guys in a pairing. It's just easier to get around the golf course. And also the distance walking from green to tee is a big factor as well if you're going to save 15, 20 minutes off a round. And this golf course is pretty simple in terms of getting around.
Do you think they should be used, though?
I mean, I don't really have a strong opinion on it. I think, like, if you get a golf course like this where it's hard to really get offline, like if you get offline, you're just in the forest, and so you're kind of just like punching out and hitting weird shots. I think sometimes on the bigger golf courses, when you get pretty far offline, it can be a little bit of a less advantage to a great caddy who maybe has a way of doing the numbers better than other caddies, and who maybe has put in the work to get numbers from certain areas. So it could take away a little bit of that, and I'm not sure if it'll have a significant impact on pace of play, but we'll see. It's something that we haven't tested out before. And so will it save a few minutes? I don't think it would hurt pace of play, but you never know. I guess my answer is we'll see what happens.
Okay, there you go, Scotty Scheffler. And, of course, we'll be there Thursday, Friday, and through the weekend covering the RBC Heritage. First time since COVID that we're actually going to be back inside the media center. So I'm excited about that, to be able to do the show. Haven't been able to do the show from down there since COVID. So it's a breakthrough for Sports Talk and Sports Talk Radio to get back into the media center there at RBC Heritage.
That's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason over the years that we couldn't get back down there. So that's nice that we're getting back an opportunity.
Well, we had to
do such a super job.
We had to do some heavy negotiating to make it happen. So basically begged and pleaded and said, come on. And
there's no reason for no reason not to let media down there.
Yeah, exactly. Scheffler, of course, won last year, 19 under par, 3-shot win coming off his Masters win. So he went 2 in a row there. Wonder when Rory will tee it back up again.
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering as he was sitting there in the postgame and he was talking about looking forward to seeing his family this week. So I looked at my wife and I said, well, that means he's not playing in Hilton Head. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if he was planning to come.
I haven't heard of any withdrawal, which means I don't recall that he was ever going to be in the field. Got you. Now, they made this an elevated tournament to attract the better players, and they got a great field once again. Don't get me wrong, got a great field. But obviously, once you win the Masters, sometimes you go over and play, like Scheffler did last year. A lot of times guys will bow out of the next week because of the just needing a break after being in that pressure cooker of Augusta all week long. Let's face it, if you're a great player, if you're one of the best players and you're at Augusta, something's in your face for an entire week. A microphone, a camera, the fans, the golf course, and they go to Harbortown to get away from that. But they still play great golf, don't get me wrong. Okay, quick update. It is 4-0 USC over El Cid. Wake Forest 8-5 over Coastal. That'll do it. Have a great night. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, sir.
And thank you, Josh. See you tomorrow night.
WQXL Columbia W264DF.